Now we are about to commence officially. It's 12 o'clock. Good afternoon, everyone here present. Special greetings to our emeritus professor, Professor Godwin Sogolo, who is always here with us on a day like this. Welcome you, sir. And our presenter, our erudite scholar, seasoned educator, who we have here today, who is going to share his knowledge with us. I salute you, sir, and other academics on this platform. You are welcome again to our monthly webinar at the Center of Excellence in Migration and Global Studies of the National Open University of Nigeria. It's a monthly exercise for us here to come together to share knowledge and, have scholarly discussions. And today we have a very important professor of education here with us, who will be presenting to us for about 1 hour. But before I go ahead to introduce the presenter of today, let me remind you that this center was established 4 years ago precisely with a seed fund from Tech Fund, and its business, its vision is to be a bridge between humanity and the future. And its mandates were, one, to provide leverage for field-based and solution-driven research, to serve as agent of national policy for migration studies, to seek grants for academic activities and outreach for sustainability, to publish and sustain peer-reviewed academic journal and monograph series. And our latest academic journal is online. And just go there and search for this wonderful journal with a lot of scholarly articles. And one of our staff will put on the chat now the link for you to go to look at these issues in this journal that we just published for April 2024. That is volume 4, issue 1. So you'll see it on the link shortly, and please do well to go and read these interesting articles. And we're also to collaborate with stakeholders in the field and policy makers, as occasional seminars, conferences, and public lectures. Of course, this is what we keep doing as a center of excellence. Because of network, I won't say much, but I will say we also have our website. The link will also be posted on the chat box for you to examine to and see our various activities as we contribute to migration space in Federal Republic of Nigeria. So having said that, just for those who may not have come across our center, I want to go straight ahead to introduce the presenter for today so that we can get going, because the network is always fluctuating around here, but we pray today that everything will be stable for us. The presenter for today is no other than Professor Sir Professor Uchenna Sydney Ajuwa Osuji, popularly known in this environment as USA. So you don't need to take visa to really get to this USA. He's very approachable, very reachable, and always willing to serve. That's the thing I know about this USA. So it's not the USA that will go and queue, and we may get no for visa. But this one, visa is ready given to us. Well, let me quickly say, he has been in academics for over 2 decades from his CV that I saw. And he actually started as a teacher in a secondary school where he started since 1987, he has been teaching, and the first university where he taught was at the University of Calabar, and he was a part-time teacher also at Abia State University. And to this, our National Open University, he started teaching here, measurement and evaluation. I can say that because he's very grounded in his subject. And then he has some postgraduate diplomas in distance education. So it's not just a professor of measurement and evaluation, but a specialist in distance education. Of course, while in school, he had some scholarships from Federal Ministry of Education, from Commonwealth of Learning. And so our researcher for today is a brilliant one who, I said, is an erudite scholar. Well, he also belongs to so many associations, so many, but let me just mention a few. He's a member of the Learning Association, E-Learning Association of Nigeria, member Open and Distance Education of Nigeria, member Science Teachers Association of Nigeria, member Association of Educational Researchers and Evaluators of Nigeria, and so on and so forth. And I would say, like I said, he has been with National Open University for over 2 decades, almost since inception, since 2003. And he's published widely, both nationally and internationally, and has attended so many conferences. And he's an external examiner to universities within and outside Nigeria. He's a visiting scholar to the University of the Gambia, and he has successfully supervised many student projects of both undergraduate and postgraduate level. He's not only a guru in academics, but his religious life is also a fantastic one, worthy of emulation. He is a sir of the Anglican diocese, Anglican church, Knight of St. Christopher of the Anglican church. So we not only call him professor, but he's a sir when you have that knighthood installed on you. And he's also very vast in family life. He's married with so many years experience in marriage, and happily married to Lady Eucharia Odilama Chimechefulem. I hope I'm right, Osuji. And of course, he's a happy father, blessed with 2 boys and 2 girls. And his CV continues, but for want of time, and because of internet stability, I'm going to stop there and talk about his topic for today, which is issues of socio-emotional learning in educational migration. And he's going to be speaking with us on this very topic today. So on this note, I say you are welcome, sir, Professor USA Osuji, to make your presentation. And thank you, sir, for always honoring us. You may share your screen, sir, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you so very much, my director and colleagues. I want to thank you so very much for being here. First, I want to appreciate the Center of Excellence for giving me this opportunity to be here once again. Thank you so very much, Director and your team. Now, the topic is issues of social emotional learning and educational migration. Social emotional learning in educational migration. Now, you are aware that of the saying that the youths of today are future leaders. Since I was born, I've been hearing this. The youths of today are our future leaders. But when we look at the youths of today, What type of youths are we producing now as future leaders? Youths who do not believe in hard work, youths who do not believe in the entrepreneurship system any longer, youths who are not ready to be mentored, youths who believe in shortcut to success and quick money. And because they believe in shortcut to success and quick money, most of them try to migrate to countries outside Nigeria. Why are they migrating? For what reason? What is their reason for migration? Are they equipped to migrate to other countries? But we know that in today's world, nations are experiencing major geopolitical, economic, environmental, and societal shifts, which have resulted to increased international migrations. Migration flows have snowball effect on the cultural, ethnic, and religious diversity of today's classrooms and cities. Our educational systems are shaped to lay emphasis on academic cognitive skills, which includes literacy, numeracy, and scientific knowledge. We're interested in this scientific knowledge because it is very important because of so many challenges that are facing the countries of the world today. These challenges range from the COVID-19 pandemic, the climate change, the rapid changing and developing technologies, and migration as a result of discriminations, conflict, educational, disaster, economic hardship, among others. The concern of this discourse is educational migration. We have noted that in almost every part of this world, there are conflicts, there are reasons for people to migrate, hardship, and so on. So people are moving. They are moving from time to time, from country to country, from one place to another. Even inside the country, people are moving from one town to the other as a result of all these discrimination, conflicts, and so on. But we are concerned with educational migration. These challenges have brought about growing emphasis on the need for social emotional learning skills, SEL skills, and for people to recognize that SEL, that is a social emotional learning, makes a very good contribution to the success in academic achievement, employment success, and satisfaction in life. We are talking about the social emotional learning skills, which will equip anybody, any youth, any student who is migrating from one place to the other to have academic success and enjoy satisfactory life. So the social emotional learning is an important contributor to students' overall growth. It is very vital in helping immigrant students to overcome the challenges of migration, discrimination, disruption of family routines. Of course, you know that when somebody moves from one place to the other, is faced with so many challenges. So if the person imbibes the principles of social emotional learning, he will be able to overcome wherever he is. It can also improve the chances of these immigrant students to be well-adjusted adults with increased mental health, academic success, and social inclusion. So it means that every student, including whether it is immigrant students or ordinary students, they need both academic and holistic learning. I'm interested in this holistic learning because it integrates concerns for psychological, physical, social, and creativity in the student's life. A holistic learning approach notes that students are multidimensional. Of course, students of the 21st century must be multidimensional, which is an important factor in improving academic success. So, as social emotional learning, SEL, is a vital aspect of holistic education. It has a direct impact on academic success. When you have holistic education, the impact on your academic success is commendable, and it contributes to more learning and motivation. Holistic education contributes to people learning more, and they are more motivated to learn and to succeed in life. Immigrant students need help in order to develop social emotional competencies and skills, which can put them on the road to success in both school and life. So we are saying that the students, the immigrant students, wherever they are, they have to develop social emotional competencies and skills, which will put them on the road to success, not just in school, but also in their life. Educational institutions can facilitate the development of these skills and competencies directly by designing and implementing policies and practices which can improve the culture and climate of the institution, as well as promote positive relationships. So we appeal to the educational institutions, not just the institutions, even the families, to facilitate the development of these skills because of the numerous advantages it will impact on their students. There is a need for educators at various educational levels and institutions to understand that the process of migration, resettlement, with its accumulative stress, tend to get immigrant students susceptible to various types of psychological distress. Now, let us summarize the benefits of social emotional learning. 1, improved academic performance. 2, reduced depression rates. 3, chances of future success in future. And better stress management. Better stress management. We will elaborate on this. But before we go on, let us look at the concept of social emotional learning. And I say it is a process which helps students to acquire and apply such information, mindset, and skills or competencies that can help them to understand and regulate their emotions, to understand and regulate their emotions in order to create and accomplish realistic goals, engender empathy, engender empathy, and more importantly, make responsible and informed decisions. Now, if you look at this description, I highlighted emotion. I had regulating their emotions. I also highlighted creating and accomplishing realistic goals. I also highlighted to engender empathy and then make responsible and informed decisions. These are the key words in the concept of social emotional learning. So it can help to develop such skills, behaviors, and attitudes which will help the students to adapt to their environment, work capably with others, and live successfully in a fast-paced, uncertain, and rapidly changing world, especially these days when there is uncertainty everywhere, every day we hear one thing or the other. Now, if you are equipped with these social emotional learning skills, you don't bother. It will help you to succeed. It will help you to endure till the end. So the social emotional learning will not only help immigrant students to adopt, but also facilitate their interactions with the native students. Once you get to a country or a place, a town that is not your original town, you need to adapt to the situation and then interact with other people. But some people, if you don't have the attitude to do that, most of them are not successful as a result of not being able to adapt to new situations and not being able to have good interactions with the natives. So the social emotional skill will equip them to lead healthy and purposeful life. There is this description of social emotional learning by Cassell, Collaborative for Academic Social Emotional Learning, Cassell, 2019. They developed this description, which is now highly influential. It is a model definition of SEL, and it is very popular. And they say that SEL is a process by which both children and adults acquire and effectively make use of the knowledge, skills, and attitude which are necessary to understand and manage emotions. Necessary to understand and manage emotions. I highlight this again. So, set and achieve positive goals. Feel and show empathy for others. Establish and make positive relationships and make responsible decisions. What they are saying here is that for everybody, whether children, whether adults, that it is good to have the knowledge, skills, and attitude that will help them to understand and make and manage their emotions. If you understand your emotions, you'll be able to manage it well. Not just that, set and achieve positive goals. Feel and show empathy for others. I also highlight this, empathy for others. Relationship is about empathy for others. And so make positive relationship and make responsible decisions. It is the stage of developing such skills and competencies that are needed for important tasks, which an individual uses to define his own feelings and that of others. You define your own feeling, you define that of others. The relationship becomes intimate. It is being sensitive and to accommodate other people's requests. At any point, at every place you find yourself, you must be able to accommodate other people's requests. explaining and managing his feelings, knowing his positive and negative aspects, establishing and sustaining effective communications with others. So you have to, first of all, know your feelings, how to know explain and manage your feelings. Then know your positive and the negative aspects before you can sustain effective communications with others. For the immigrant students, this is not as easy as it sounds. The SEL process holds additional challenges. We are talking about it as if it is very simple. It is not as simple as that, because even the social emotional learning itself has its own additional challenges. It means that they have to learn these skills while also navigating some complex emotional reactions to their social and academic displacement, trauma, and family reunification. Of course, you know that when somebody moves, there are all these challenges. Well, you have displacement from both social and academic, you have trauma, maybe traveling, and then you are not with your family. Today's students, including the immigrant students, need both academic skills and social emotional learning skills. In fact, everybody that will need to succeed in life, we need both the academic skills and the social emotional learning skills. The academic skills will help them in their economical success, while the social emotional learning skills will help them to achieve successful personal and social competence. These skills, otherwise called social emotional skills, SES, include the skills to persevere, the skills to interact well with others, and lead in their work environments and communities. Lead in their work environments and community. Once you have these skills, you become a leader wherever you are, whether in your environment, whether in your society, whether in your clubs, and whether in your associations. You become a leader and you are bound to lead well. It is therefore very important that immigrant students acquire the social emotional learning skills in order to be able to manage stress and uncertainty. Once you have these skills, you'll be able to manage your stress, manage the uncertainty in this world. Some of these students cross borders to enter other countries that have different cultural contexts. They need these non-cognitive skills for their long-term success and to feel capable and secure. So they need these SEL skills in order to feel safe and secured wherever they are. There are numerous concepts associated with SEL, which can bewilder educators, researchers, and policymakers. These concepts include, but not limited to, non-cognitive development, character education, 21st century skills, trauma-informed learning grit, empathy, growth, mindset, social skills, among others. So many people, so many organizations refer to these concepts and bring them to bear on SEL skills. They say these are the skills that are embedded in SEL. So these include the numerous methods of developing the skills. Where and how to develop them can be discussed later. So the concept of social emotional skills will be summarized in this figure. Self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness, self-management. A fundamental target objective of education is for the learner to be equipped with such skills and competencies that can be beneficial to him as well as the society, beneficial to the individuals as well as beneficial to the society. This process involves cognitive, physical, and social emotional development. I am concerned with social emotional development. The skills or competencies here can be described as developing positive relations and avoiding negative ones, knowing oneself, developing empathy, controlling emotions, and making ethical and moral decisions. You see, I've been emphasizing on this: empathy, controlling your emotions, and making decisions that are responsible. Social emotional skills and competencies ensure that those who have them enjoy higher quality life. Enjoy higher quality life. They are healthier and more contented. They develop awareness of themselves and for other people. That is the most important thing. Develop awareness, understand yourself, and understand that there are other people. That will give you the relationship you will need to succeed. They control themselves. Of course, once you understand yourself, you'll be able to control yourself, progress in a planned manner when developing interpersonal relationships, and to solve problems. Learners who have acquired social emotional learning skills and competencies develop the capability to calm themselves when angry. That is controlling your emotion. When you are angry, you'll be able to know how to calm yourself down. Make and sustain friendships. Resolve conflicts in respectful and constructive means. And more importantly, make safe and ethical decisions. Your decisions must be safe. Your decisions must be responsible. Your decisions must be informed. Your decisions must be morally correct and ethically correct. These social emotional skills and competencies can be summarized as follows. 1. Self-awareness, which is the individual's ability to identify and classify his emotions and influence on behavior. 2. Self-management, which is the individual's ability to regulate his emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Self-efficacy, which is the ability of the individual to motivate himself, persevere, and see himself as being capable. Social awareness is the individual's ability to empathize with others from different backgrounds. Social management, which is the individual's ability to make self and constructive decisions on personal behavior and social interactions. And then social engagement, which is the individual's ability to have considerations for others, as well as a desire to contribute to the well-being of others and the society. So you don't just contribute for your own growth, you also contribute for the well-being of others and that of the society. So social emotional learning skills and competencies are essential knowledge, skills, attitudes, and mindset which are needed by every individual to succeed in life. And these skills are the product of social emotional learning. They are the processes by which educational institutions and society implement practices and policies which allow both youths and adults to acquire and apply the skills and competencies effectively. They can do this through supportive learning environments, positive interactions with other people, explicit SEL instructions, and integration of SEL in the academic instructions. So we are saying that for people to have this, that they need supportive learning environment. And then they have to be supported. And it has to be embedded in the academic instructions. Self-competencies are classified, SEL's competencies are classified as intrapersonal and interpersonal. So you can classify them into two. Intra, described as the ways of dealing with oneself and includes thoughts and emotions and can be awareness, beliefs, skills, both directed and applied inward. So this is for inside of the person. And then the other one is the interpersonal, which describes the knowledge, skills, and attitudes directed towards others, towards the institutions, and towards the social structure. What is your attitude towards your fellow human being? What is your attitude towards the institutions, government property, government infrastructure, social amenities, public structures? What is your attitude towards them? So that comes into play. So these competencies can also be organized as awareness skills. Awareness skills in the sense that you are aware of yourself, you are aware of what you can do, you are aware of how you can do, how you can treat other people, and then you are aware of their environment, the structures around you, and how to keep them. Now let us look at the SEL theories. The beginning of the SEL movement in education cannot be traced to any definitive time or period, but the SEL theory started by some scholars at the earlier stages were based on the whole child development. Those of you who are in education, you are aware of the whole child development. That is the whole child development is very, very popular, especially in education. For instance, the Italian physician and educator Maria Montessori advocated for the whole child education by constructing classroom settings which provided students with freedom to follow their own interests and to work in groups. Freedom to follow their own interests and to work in groups. Her theory encouraged social relationships, which make students to be curious, independent, and responsible. Another scholar from the Soviet Union, a psychologist, Lev Vygotsky, developed a sociocultural theory which focused on learning as primarily social collaborative interaction. That is a social collaborative interaction. He emphasized the role of language and social interactions to help students learn sociocultural values. He emphasized the concept of scaffolding, which involves the student and the teacher interacting to help the student develop advanced skills. That means he encouraged students to interact with the teacher in order to develop skills and competencies that will be used in future. like social skills and effective communication, as critical to students' cognitive development. In the second half of the 20th century, an American scholar, James Comer, advanced a social emotional learning theory based on psychosocial interventions. This emphasized the social and cultural connections between the school and the home and requires collaboration among school personnel, parents, community leaders, and health care providers, which are respectful and open, and whose goal is to help the students feel safe and valued. So it means that social emotional learning is linked to the whole child education theory, which advocates for cognitive, intellectual learning, as well as language and literacy development, diverse approaches to teaching and learning, physical well-being, and social emotional development. It also means that SEL goes beyond traditional conceptions of formal education, whose priority lies in test scores and academic achievement, but to include how to develop students' mental and social skills and competencies. So we are moving away. This says we should move away from the test scores, just testing for academic achievement, to also go into mental and social skills and competencies, which also includes health, safety, support, engagement, and challenge among the indicators of success in education. Let us look at the model of social emotional learning. A personality model derived from different consistent studies has been used to describe how people define themselves and others. This model is referred to as the Big Five model, and it is made up of 5 skill sets. 1, agreeableness, which is the factor that involves the quality of interpersonal relationships. It includes cooperation, collaboration, trust, and caring about the well-being of others. Very, very important. Dependability is a domain that includes self-control, task performance, organization, persistence, reliability, and setting high and reasonable standards for oneself. I'm sorry, this figure is not very clear. It's not very, but if you can see it, that is the five-factor model. So it also has emotional stability, which is a trait that involves people having strategies to understand and control their emotions in stressful situations. In this situation, people demonstrate resilience. They are optimistic and generally have positive world view. Extraversion, which is a domain that demonstrates the tendencies to create and maintain connections with other people. Create and maintain connections with other people. It is a tendency of assertiveness and positive engagement in life. And then we have openness to experience, which is a factor where people demonstrate intellectual curiosity, creativity, open-mindedness, love of learning, and tolerance. It is also a demonstration of the tendency to self-reflect. Now, let's go to the to the main issue, the issues of social emotional learning in educational migration. Research studies have proved that positive emotional well-being correlates with higher rates of academic engagement. Once you have positive emotional well-being, your academic achievement is higher than those who don't have them. So sound emotional well-being is highly correlated with sense of belonging, connectedness in school, academic motivation, and also reduce conduct problems and violence. When you see people who are violent on the streets, they are problematic, they are erratic. It means that they are not nurtured. They don't have any element of this emotional well-being. It means that successful adaptation of an immigrant student may be hinged on the quality of the relationship which he is able to forge within the school setting. If you're an immigrant student or any student whatsoever, anybody who has come to a new place, your success will depend on the relationship you can forge within the school setting, within the environment. For instance, a good social relationship is likely to provide him with a variety of protective functions, such as sense of belonging, emotional support, cognitive guidance, tangible information, assistance, and positive feedback. It has to be noted that immigrant students are affected by the following. So they have different challenges, such as stress from cultural changes and acculturation, the feeling to choose between home culture and the new culture, the establishment of a secure identity amidst competing social pressures. They feel alienated culturally and socially. They have interruptions in education. There is this new language and new education system they will meet in their area of migration. There may also be segregation and underfunded schooling. They can be confronted with racism and xenophobia in the new society. So it has been established that SEL is very important for immigrant students to reach their full potential, but some issues arise and form barriers to their SEL. These issues include poverty. Many immigrant students and families live in extreme poverty. Of course, that is why they are moving in order to look for greener pastures. This can cause some discomfort, lack, low esteem, low confidence, among others. Marginalization. Some are marginalized in their new countries. Not some, many of them. They face exclusionary disciplinary practices and policies. These are disproportionately meted out to them. These immigrant students are frequently marginalized due to their language, religion, ethnicity, and culture. Of course, if it is a student from another country with his own dialect coming to your class as a teacher, you first of all, if he's not fluent in the language of teaching, the first thing is that you think he will not succeed. And that is a problem. The next one is lack of trauma-informed practices. Many immigrant students may experience multiple trauma situations during their stay. And these may include death of family member, rape, torture, which can be psychological or physical, and lack of basic needs. The most important here is torture. Torture, which can be psychological, torture, which can be physical. The next one is teacher stress. When teachers who have insufficient training handle immigrant students, it leads to reduced safety and achievement of the students in their academics. These teachers may have low expectations of these students because they may not be fluent in their language of instruction. Of course, as a teacher, you see a student in your class who is not fluent, who cannot speak very well the language of instruction. Already, you look down on such students. The next one is lack of teacher training. Teachers are not specifically trained to handle immigrant students' issues. They are not equipped to handle or deal with additional challenges of these students in the classroom. These may include language, culture, academic deficiencies, trauma, physical and mental health issues, integration, among others. Of course, we know that most of the teachers in this world are not trained to have these SEL skills and competencies. And when a teacher is not trained or not aware of these SEL competencies and skills, he is not in a position to handle immigrant student issues. He is not in a position to handle other people's issues. So he is not equipped to deal with additional challenges other than normal classroom challenges. This is why this man, Scott Rich, 2017, referred to teaching as one of the most stressful occupations, and it is a risk to have a teacher with poor social emotional well-being handling immigrant students. And of course, you know that across the world, teachers who handle these immigrant students do not have any social emotional well-being. And that is why the students find it difficult to succeed. Therefore, to promote SEL for immigrant students especially, and all students in general, teachers should gain strong SEL skills and competencies and be prepared and also be supported. Not just be prepared, they have to be supported. If you are prepared and you are not supported, you will not achieve. Teachers need to understand the principles and values of SEL and to be trained in the delivery in order to model the behaviors of their students accordingly. It is when you are trained, what you have is what you give to others. So if you want to mentor students on the SEL skills, you yourself as a teacher must have it. Other issues. Literature has shown that so many issues affect immigrant students. Immigrant students' cognitive, social, and emotional learning. They include regional demographics, family diversity, income equality, level of parents' education, and paid parental leave for newborn and adoptions, as well as issues resulting from migration. These issues, which are diverse in nature, also result in a variety of students' needs in order to help them gain SEL skills and competencies that will help them to succeed in education and in their adult life, not just in education, in their social life, in their lives throughout. In this discourse, it has been mentioned severally that SEL affects the lives of students, the lives of teachers, the lives of parents, and the larger community in meaningful ways, which improve relationships and societies in general. But it does not happen overnight. We have been talking about the advantages to the students, to the teachers, to the parents, and even to the society. But it is not as easy as we look at it, and it doesn't happen overnight. There are different positive outcomes which can arise over time for those who stick with the principles of SEL. These include academic improvement. According to CASER 2019, 213 studies that surveyed more than 270,000 learners were analyzed in 2011. They collected studies, this CASEL collected studies on SEL and collected 213 of them using 270,000 learners, and they analyzed this in 2011. The result showed that, on the average, students who took part in SEL-informed curricula had an 11% jump in their academic achievement when compared with others who did not participate. So what it means is that those who have the SEL skills and competencies will always achieve higher than those who don't have them. But the issue is how many educational institutions or schools are ready to incorporate SEL skills and competencies in their curriculum. You see, we have been talking about this. We're good and fine. But how many educational institutions and schools, to be sincere, are ready to incorporate it? That is the problem. Greater results for students with early identified problems. When you identify the problems of students as early as possible, and when these problem students are identified and they are subjected to the use of SEL principles for early interventions, it will lead to reduction in conduct problems, better attitudes towards themselves and others, fewer outbreaks due to emotional distress, and enhanced academic performance. So if you get them early, diagnose them early, and get them and intervene early, you will see that conduct problems will be reduced drastically. So you have better attitudes towards you and others, better attitudes towards you and others. And then we have fewer outbreaks due to emotional distress. But how many schools attempt to assess these learners in order to identify the problems and needs of the new students and immigrant students with a view to subjecting them to have the SEL skills and competencies? Especially in our situation where we have distance learners, where we have open and distance learning. Are we ready to intervene? Are we ready to subject the students to assess them to know their social, emotional learning needs in order to intervene, in order to help them to achieve? So the next one is better social interactions. When SEL principles are included in the curriculum, it helps to encourage positive behaviors across lifespan. It means that for students to have and to imbibe good role models, it becomes imperative for teachers and parents to continuously display such attitudes like empathy, conscientiousness, thoughtfulness, and kindness. So we are saying that it is not only just putting it even in the curriculum, but as a teacher, as a parent, as a leader, we have to have attitudes, display them, display these attitudes of empathy, attitudes of thoughtfulness, attitudes of kindness, and so on. We have to display them so that they see that we have them and we display them. But many teachers and parents do not have and do not display these attitudes. So this is an issue. Less aggressive and or disruptive behaviors. Students who have acquired the SEL skills are likely to have long-term improvements in the areas of aggression and disruption. They have greater ability to properly manage stress, depression, and develop healthier opinions about themselves and other people. But how will they acquire these SEL skills and competencies if they are not taught or even mentored? Of course, for you to mentor, that means you have it yourself. But when the teachers don't have it, how do they mentor the students? How do they display the attitude? This discourse has established that healthy social, emotional learning or development has a fundamental link to successful school life, as well as well-being of adult life. It means that educational institutions should present the opportunity for all students in general, and immigrant students in particular, to acquire and equip themselves with the necessary skills and competencies in order to manage their emotions, develop healthy attitudes and identities in life, achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. These are the pivots of the SEL. It goes to show that SEL is hinged on preventive philosophy based on both moral and economic justifications. It also affects the lives of the students, the lives of the teachers, the lives of the parents, and the larger society in such meaningful ways that improve relationships and societies in general. And since SEL does not just happen, it means that government at all levels, schools and parents must ensure that all students stick to the principles of SEL. I therefore recommend that the curricula of the educational institutions should be reviewed to include the teaching of SEL skills and competencies at every level of education. That universities, colleges of education, and the teacher training institutions should provide high quality teacher training in order to produce teachers who are confident to teach and impart the SEL skills and competencies in diverse students group. Teachers who have the knowledge and they are confident to teach. And then they also need to impart the SEL skills and competencies to their students. Schools should be encouraged to adopt whole SEL approaches to give their students opportunities to apply the skills in different situations of their lives. And then the government should support and supervise the schools to create enabling environment for the students to feel safe, to express themselves emotionally, socially, and academically. When these happen, we will be sure that our youths the youth of today will surely be great leaders of tomorrow. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for this wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Everyone is already clapping because I enjoyed every bit of this presentation. Thank you so very much for a detailed and well-researched presentation and paper. Thank you so much. Yes, SEL, Socio-Emotional Learning Skills. Well, I really appreciate our presenter, and I knew that he was not going to disappoint me, and I'm sure he didn't disappoint all of us present here. It's a time worth it that we have spent listening to him. Before the end, I have seen 2 hands up, but I want to say I really like what I like best is that teaching is a stressful profession, because people do not really realize that. I put that down because it's really stressful, and say especially those dealing with immigrants. I want to add my voice to that I don't even think it's only those dealing with immigrants, but every sphere of teaching, especially if you want to do it well. And I know that before now, we have always had these components in teaching, this SEL component, socio-emotional. However, maybe in a special way now, we are now directed to focus more on it, because I want to believe that it's always been there. Well, from inception, it has always been there. It has always been a part that makes a successful teaching career. But now, maybe more emphasized so that everybody can now key in a specific way to it. Because I do not want to waste further time, because of I'm very happy network has been throwing some of us out in and back, but at least it did not disturb the researcher in any way. He was able to make a beautiful presentation. So I will start with our emeritus professor, who raised his hand first, and that will be followed by Professor Akim Akiwale. And I think those are the 2 hands I can see for now. Let's get their contributions and questions, then we follow suit with others. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir, Emeritus Professor Sugulu.
Yes, I want to congratulate Professor Osuji. You know, what I saw in the post, I saw Osuji. Was that a mistake, Director? You wrote Osiji rather than Osuji?
No, he's Osuji. Where did I write Osiji?
Yes, I said Osiji.
I said Professor Osuji. Did I say
Osiji? It's somewhere.
Well, maybe that's a slip of tongue. I'm very sure it's Osuji.
No, you wrote it. Okay. Let's forget about it.
So who, sir?
No, in the notice for the meeting.
Okay, in the notice?
Yes, in the post.
Oh, so sorry if I did.
It was so I thought it was. I said this.
No, we can't change the prof's name overnight.
Yes, okay.
Typographical error. I sincerely apologize.
I want to congratulate Professor Suji for this very wonderful, very wonderful presentation. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, we are.
Okay. You know Professor Suji definitely is an expert in education and in the theory of education. So that is obvious from the entire presentation. But there was some aspect of this presentation that I wasn't too clear of. It wasn't too clear to me. How does the immigrant student fit into the entire discussion? The theory flows well. It flows from the beginning, your premises and everything, to the conclusion. But it could have also been all right without reference to the immigrant student. And what I see in it is that as if this thinking, Professor Suji's ideas on this were already ideas about the challenges of education or what you need to do. The SEL are things that you need in education to facilitate education, to make learning, easier. But you might as well say, okay, but the problems are greater if you were in an environment, a strange environment, as an immigrant student. You just add that at the end. Otherwise, I didn't see the immigrant situation flowing through the whole discussion. And you can see that even at the end, when you were doing your conclusion, you see the immigrant student just vanishes. So you were now talking about learning generally and the challenges that confront people, confront the learner generally. And so at every point, you find that the immigrant situation was not coming in. But so if you really need to talk about a situation confronting the immigrants, there may be some aspect of the paper may have to be redone. Otherwise, it will just be learning generally. And it is, you know, in theory and practice, it is perfectly all right. You don't need to bring in the immigrant concept. All right? That's, see, because that creates some weakness in the paper, in the theory. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that contribution. Yes, over to Professor Akim Akinwale.
Yeah, thank you very much, Director. I thank Professor Usuji for this nice presentation. The ontology of the presentation is very clear, and I think the social emotional learning and all the indicators remind me of emotional intelligence. And my first question to Prof is, what is the difference between social emotional learning skill and emotional intelligence skills?
Thank you, my director, and join my senior colleagues.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Sorry, just wait. Let this Prof finish, then you come back. Yes, over to you, Professor.
So I also want to join myself to the applaud of my senior colleagues. Also congratulate my mentor, Professor Suji, in this particular presentation. My prof, sir, during your introductory comments, then I wanted to be scared away. When you are blaming the youth and the reasons why they are actually migrating, then I asked myself, sir, that can we really blame these youths for migrating, whether immigration or emigration? What has their society really provided for them that will make them or make all of them to stay in the communities where they are familiar with? So I feel that the youth that are migrating, there are causes for such migration. And therefore, the community or the society where they exist need also to provide things to enable them to stay. My first observation. And when these particular students, whether they come in or they go out, some of them still excel. We have gotten so many immigrant Nigerian students over there also doing well and performing distinctively and outstandingly, which is actually making our nation to be proud. So we need to know that it's not that cause problem. Some of them, where they are, whether inside or outside, they are also contributing positively to the development of where they find themselves. On the issue of incorporating SEL in schools curriculum, as you have known, sir, that changing of curriculum or review of curriculum or revision of curriculum is not just a one-day affair, especially when institutions are actually under the watch eyes of standard bodies that have been established to monitor them. Take, for instance, our benchmarks that we use in institutions. We are using BMAS before, we have changed to CCMAS now. So what is your suggestion in the incorporation of this SEL into the institution's curriculum? Is it as a new course or as courses of, or you want them to be embedded in the existing or any of the existing courses of the institutions, so as for the institutions to be well guided as how they will actually incorporate SEL skills on their learners and their students they are developing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwake, for that contribution. I don't know if Professor Akim can clearly state quickly what he wanted to state so that I will take it. Then Dr. J, I hope I'm right, will now ask or add his contribution. Over to you, sir.
I hope, okay, ma, thank you. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes.
So I was asking first, what is the difference between the social emotional learning skills and emotional intelligence skills? I asked this question because their indicators are quite similar. Then secondly, I said, what approach to research did Prof adopt? Was it qualitative? Was it quantitative? And what actual method or data collection informed the findings? Was there any interaction with immigrant students in any part of the world? And how many immigrant students did Prof interact with? Or is this just based on interpretation of theory? And if it is based on interpretation of theories, there are some statements that Prof made, e.g., teachers are not trained to handle immigrant students or help them to deal with their challenges. So this is a heavy statement. So what percentage of teachers do not understand the challenges of immigrant students? Or is it all of them, 100%? So was there any interaction with any of the teachers dealing with these immigrant students? And finally, sir, what is the flow of the educational migration? Because I did not hear anything about, okay, where is the country of origin? Where is the country of destination? This may have implication on the coping ability and ability to apply the social emotional learning skills. So I think responding to this question will enrich the quality of the paper. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that contribution. And I think I will now call on Dr. J, after which I'm seeing Professor Tijani there, who will also follow suit. Thank you so much in that order.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. I want to commend the Professor U.S.A. Osuji, for the well-researched and erudite paper presented. I am not in academics, but I learned a lot in his presentation. Naturally, when Prof referred to that migration, I don't think it's one-way migration. Some people migrate to Nigeria, and Nigerian students also migrate outside. And probably that informed why, at the end of the presentation, he didn't want to specify talking about migration issue and all the rest of them. It is something that has been presented in the right context. Now, my concern is that I was about asking whether there are structured learning in place for SEL. But when he rounded off at the lecture, I understand that, yes, there are structured learning issues, structured and recognized learning that has been put in place. Now, the question is it optional for schools to incorporate such structured learning? Why must it be optional, given the environment we find ourselves today, that majority of our students migrate outside, not only for academic acquisition, but social, economic reasons again, and because they form source of our dollar importation or whatever you can call it. Now they face all sorts of things, including what the prof has enumerated, which embraces xenophobia, racism, ethnicity, marginalization, and of course, what he described as a teacher-driven stress to this group of migrants. We know this has come to stay. There's no way we can run against it than to make it compulsory that SEL is incorporated in the educational curriculum, so that no aspect of education is left with migrants or educational migrating students, because these are the issues that are going to face there. Even those coming here, yes, when we talk about migration, some people also migrate into Nigeria to acquire education and all the rest of them. So they are also affected by this SEL. So I am suggesting that those of you in the academics should make it a matter of compulsory that educational institutions should integrate this SEL in their curriculum so that everything is complete. Once again, I say a big commendation to the prof for a well-researched paper. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution, Dr. J. And finally, from what I can see here, is Professor Sujani.
Thank you very much, Director. I want to join others to commend the presenter, Professor USA, for his audacity to take this up, but more importantly, to share knowledge from his perspective. But I will align with our Baba, followed by Professor Hakim and Professor Pateye, to ask Professor Suji to kindly shed more light on SEL within the context of a focused group, i.e., for instance, you have sponsored NOU and staff that are students overseas, okay? And talking about the reality of lives, of everyday life when they made it over. I think that will put a lot of juice and make it reality beyond theory. You see, I did not listen much, but I leverage on others' comments, and I leverage on Professor Emeritus Bewaji's long comment in the chat. So I have not stolen, but I've just quickly learned because I woke up and I said, oh my God, this thing is almost over. So I listened towards the end and I listened to some of the comments to say, okay, SEL. And but I think you could, probably look into that. Those are rich resources. You have quite a number of them that are on study leave, educating. They've migrated either in London, Malaysia, USA, and the emotional situation is so complex. But to round up, I think you've validated the fact that the Center of Migration and Global Studies is indeed interdisciplinary, is indeed relevant. And as I was telling the ES of TED Fund, who visited 2 days ago, taking him around and during the meeting, that you have left, that is TED Fund, you have left NOUN behind. What do I mean? NOUN was the first center of excellence to be created, to be funded. Okay. But when you announce those 12 or so, they left NOUN up. So I'm using this opportunity to challenge the director. Okay. It's your task. You are the director. You've been director for almost 2 years now since I left. And also you have that resource, great resource you have to tap into. Who is that? Professor Emeritus Sogolo, who can knock. He doesn't even have to knock on some of us. Tijani, you need to do this. He will make it up. So they need to recognize more and I continue, except if information, I'm dated on information concerning that. But on SEL, sir, you need a focus group to make it a reality show rather than theories. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution, sir. And we have to give the presenter the chance to answer some of this. But can I ask you to please leave the slide mode, Professor Suji? You can exit presentation mode so that we can see everybody fully. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I've done that.
Yes, thank you so much. So you can now take each one by one. Let's listen to your response. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I have to appreciate that people listen, because if there are no reactions, it means I have made a fool of myself. But because I've got some reactions, I am elated. So let me take the questions one after the other. The first one is, how does the immigrant students fare in this discussion by Emeritus Professor Soglo? And then that I didn't put the immigrant students up till the end. Well, during my introduction, I made it clear that immigrant students is for educational migration. I am not talking just about students on the whole. I'm talking about how it affects the immigrant students. And as a matter of fact, anybody who has moved from one location to the other, we note that there are so many challenges. And because there are so many challenges, you have to acquire, you have to seek for a way in order to get these challenges behind you. And I'm suggesting that for somebody who has acquired the SEL skills and competencies, it is easier to overcome these challenges. And so because I've stated it earlier, every other thing I used it as point of reference to other students, because I said that not only the immigrant students will require the SEL skills and competencies, all other students. In fact, I stressed that teachers, parents, and even the community will benefit from the SEL. And that is why I suggested that let it be on the curriculum of the schools. So another question is, what is the difference between SEL skills and emotional intelligence skills? Now, you first of all note that social emotional learning has emotional intelligence based inside it. So the skills may be different, but for this one, they may be similar. But for this one, social, emotional skills, learning skills, it has added the social aspects of the emotional skills, added the social aspect of it, interaction, relationship with others, empathy with others, empathy for others, and so on and so forth. And then for the emotional, that you have to understand yourself first. If you understand yourself and understand your emotion, you'll be able to manage yourself and control yourself in order to have a positive relationship with others, with other people. So that's what we are talking about. They are similar, but the social aspect of it is added in the social emotional learning skills. Can we actually blame these youths for the migration? The answer is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the country is bad, where everybody knows that there is hardship everywhere and students are moving. But we are not saying you should not move. We are saying that before you move, you should equip yourself. You should have the wherewithal so that you can withstand any stress anywhere. You can withstand any challenge anywhere. You can withstand any torture anywhere. So that is why I said yes. Yes, in the sense that they have to be equipped before they move. No, in the sense that they are not the cause of the problem. The problem is diverse. And where they are running to, will they not encounter problem? They will also encounter problem there. That means they have to equip themselves in order to move. He said, what have we done to make them to stay? Well, that is why I am suggesting that we have these SEL skills and competencies embedded in our curriculum. So when it is there, they now imbibe it, they acquire it, they will now have reasons. They reason because one of the outcomes of having this is to make positive, moral, and ethical decisions. So if you have it, you can make decisions for yourself, whether you can stay, whether you will not stay. So it left for you. That is why it is necessary you have it first. Now, for embedding the curriculum, embedding the SEL in the curriculum, considering that curriculum takes time to be reviewed. Yes, it takes time to be reviewed. But then, it's not going to just happen. I said it will not just happen in a day, in one day. It's gradual something. Introduce it gradually, and then it will get to all levels of education. We can start from the primary school. We can start from the secondary school, and have it embedded in some courses that have social aspects. So if they are embedded small, at a time, it will get to a time when it will now be a full course on its own. So it's not going to happen in a day, but it will take time to happen. There is this question, the approach I am using in this study, the design of the study. Now, this is opinion paper. It's purely documentary paper. So I have not gone into empirical to do that. This one is just part of a research I am conducting. I just want to bring it out, the literature review of it. The empirical aspect of it will come later, if the center will give me opportunity, maybe by next year. And then, what percentage of teachers do not have the SEL skills? Of course, it cannot be assumed because the research is ongoing. It has not been concluded to find out those teachers. But from what is happening everywhere, you note that most teachers, majority of the teachers do not have it. Even those who read psychology, I'm sorry to say that, they don't impart this aspect of life to the students. And then the other question is it optional for schools to incorporate SEL skills? No, we are not saying it's optional. Why should it be optional? No, let it be, if we want to do it, let us do it well. Don't leave it for others to do and the others do not do. So let's go ahead and incorporate it and make it compulsory for everybody, for every school at all levels. And then from Professor Tijani, now staff who are outside Nigeria for studies, now is sending staff outside Nigeria for studies. I think it will be very good. It will be a very good idea if any staff, when now is sending staff outside Nigeria, bring them together, give them orientation, because some of them may not have been outside for first time. They have not been outside the country for the first time. It is better to give them orientation and then let them know exactly the challenges they are going to face, and then give them some tidbits on social emotional learning so that when they get there, they will not look as strange as people from the moon. They will face the challenges and have their interactions and relationships as possible, as quick as possible. I don't know whether I've answered, whether I've dealt with all the questions. So if I have, I want to thank the director once again for this opportunity, praying that you give me more opportunities when the research is concluded.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you so much for your responses to those comments and questions. I just want to appreciate Emeritus Professor Bewaji. Like Professor Tijani observed, he has a long set of comments there on the platform. I don't know whether you were able to read it, presenter, but if not, because they are quite long anyway, but I think, kudos to this presentation. He said the presentation demonstrates how dysfunctional Nigeria has become and hubris. Nigeria has bastardized the humanity. I just want to take that part, just one or two of the comments so that we can hear. Nigeria has bastardized the humanity of Nigerians by imposing destitution on more than 80% of the population. How does a child learn SEL sitting in flooded classroom to learn, or under trees to learn, not knowing where lunch, dinner, or breakfast is coming from? These are practical issues, Prof, for you to consider in your further research. As you say, this is just a preamble. How does a child learn under the sledgehammer of banditry, kidnapping, childhood rape, and vicious treatment? How does one develop SEL when you are sorry, how does one develop SEL when you are aware that your senator goes home with 26 million, 36 million monthly, and your professor go home with 500,000 monthly? Why talk about it? You know, so these are issues to really consider. Even though I'm smiling, they are serious matter. Why talk about immigrant kids when those at home are home displaced? Are internally displaced persons now immigrants? And these are salient questions. Who in Nigeria now has SEL? People in government, those in academia, those in law enforcement, the judiciary, doctors, etc. So these are some things that, so I just felt I should read that, just that part, and I didn't really take the beginning, but then just for food for thought. I hope you will, when this video is out, you will go back and read the comments and see how they affect this research and how you can, bring things together. So I don't know whether there are more questions, comments. Looks like people are just contented with listening and we don't have more hands up. So we want to, I can see some of our professors there. Well, we've come a long way. It's almost 2, so we've had a full day anyway. So whether there are more comments, there are no more comments, we are okay with what we have heard. And I believe that Prof did justice to answering most of those questions and responding to the comments. So we want to really thank him, and was asking if the director, Professor Hakim, he said, I think emotional intelligence skills are more appropriate. Please see Daniel Goleman, self-awareness, self-regulation, social skills, empathy, and motivation are well developed in emotional intelligence skills. Well, that's what he has also read. So like I said, you need to look at some of these. And of course, don't fail for those of us here to go to our website. We have posted them there, how you can get us and what we are doing for you to go and examine them on the website. I want to tell Prof that if he's ready next year with his paper, of course, we are always here by God's grace. We'll be ready for him. And now he has even given us a year notice. So she let us know the month he will want to come up. We will always welcome him because we like people who always want to share with us. And that's why we are here. That's our business here, to share knowledge and disseminate knowledge. So we really thank you for always answering. This is his second time of presenting. So we really appreciate him. And now he's even saying he wants to book a third one. I'm really impressed, and I really thank you, sir, for this, for this, like Professor Tijani would say, for this audacity. I really thank you so much for it, and I appreciate you every moment you come around, and you make it so easy for us. When we say this is the date, we say he's ready anytime. So it's always there, ready for us. On this note, I think I want to thank everybody who has been on this platform. I must say the attendance today is relatively better than what we've had, because I think we were over 40 at a point, though we have dropped again now. And we really appreciate you all for your time. And let us always come together like this so that we share knowledge and educate each other. We want to thank you, Prof. We appreciate you, and we say you can come again and again and again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, senior colleagues. Thank you, my lovely colleagues, for being part of this. Have a blessed day. And I want to say bye-bye to everyone. Thank you and bye-bye.